Talk16.com.
After almost 2 decades under construction, the world's longest and deepest rail tunnel has officially opened in Switzerland.
The tunnel has cost Switzerland over $12 billion. During its construction, enough rock was excavated to build 6 Egyptian pyramids. But the Swiss are sure it is worth it. The heavy lorries which trundle through their alpine valleys, over 1 million of them a year, should now move to rail. Older tunnels corkscrewed slowly up through the mountains. The new Gotthard is entirely straight and flat. Trains will race through at 250 kilometres an hour.
That's about 155 miles per hour, and that's the BBC's Imogene Folks. Mitsubishi Materials, one of dozens of Japanese companies that used Chinese forced laborers during World War II, reached a settlement covering thousands of victims and includes compensation and an apology. News and analysis at townhall.com. Some Senate Republicans want to strike down a proposal that would require women to register for the draft.
The provision is part of the Senate's annual defense policy bill, but Utah Republican Senator Mike Lee has filed an amendment to remove it. Senator Lee's amendment also would block any court, including the U.S. Supreme Court, from hearing any cases on who is required to register for the draft with the Selective Service System. The amendment is backed by GOP Senators Ted Cruz, Jim Inhofe, Ben Sasse, and Roger Wicker. The discussion about the draft comes after Defense Secretary Ash Carter announced in December that the Pentagon would be opening all combat roles to women. Linda Kenyon, Washington.
A steady stream of traffic is moving into the fire-damaged Canadian oil sand city of Fort McMurray. Thousands of people who fled a wildfire at the start of May are now returning to see what's left of their property. More on these stories at townhall.com.
When it comes to automobile service in Hampton Roads, Fink's Car Care is the place locals have counted on for decades. Family owned and operated, they specialize in oil changes, state inspection, radiator service, tires, alignments, and showcase Win Automotive products. Military and senior discounts are available. Like them on Facebook and visit them on South Military Highway in Chesapeake and Victory Boulevard in Portsmouth, Monday through Saturday. For more, log on to finkscarcare.com and call 545-3573.
Good Italian food, daily specials, and a place people enjoy is Spaghetti Eddie's. Indulge in your mouth-watering pizza, pasta, subs, salads, appetizers, and desserts. Open 7 days a week. Log on to SpaghettiEddiesPizzaCafe.com and visit them at Taylor Road and on Eden Way North in Chesapeake for lunch and dinner. Like them on Facebook. Italian food you can count on is at Spaghetti Eddie's.
Long's Billiards in Newport News is having a massive sale. 7, 8, even 9-foot tables are at an all-time low price, including Connolly, Brunswick, and Olhausen. 1,000 pool cues in stock are up to 30, 40, even 50% off. Over 100 pool tables also on sale. When gone, they're gone forever. Log on to longsbilliards.com. Call 599-3661 and visit them at 9906 Wart Boulevard. Major clearance prices going on now at Long's Billiards.
From Chesapeake, Virginia, 1650 AM WHKT presents Sports Scene. Sports Scene features local, regional, and nationally acclaimed guests and excellent interviews. Follow Sports Scene on Twitter at Greg Bick and at GJBTV.com. Now here is Greg Bicouvaris.
Thank you very much, Ken Johnson, on this beautiful June 1st, the new day, new month right here on News Talk 1650. TuneIn.com, type in WHKT to listen on your phone or your computer. Subscribe right now on TuneIn to Sports Scene. Greg Bicouvaris along with Ken Johnson up until 1 o'clock. Welcome all the tourists in the area as well. Sports Scene is an interview show every Wednesday, noon to 1. Also invite you to watch sports highlights on nnpstv.com. Tell your friends about 1650. Find me on Twitter at Greg Bick, at Sports Highlight, at GJBTV, and HR Online Mall.com. Thank you to our military each and every day. Great guests guest lineup. Featured guest today, Harry Minium from PilotOnline.com, who covers Old Dominion football. Sponsors on the homepage of GJBTV.com and the marketplace sponsors. Guest lineup presented by Mi Casita Mexican Restaurant with 2 great locations in Virginia Beach. Go to the restaurant sections of HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. Browse, shop, and visit, and find good places to eat as well. Phone line presented by HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. Sponsors for me on this station this month: Fink's Car Care, Spaghetti Eddie's, Long's Billiards, Newcastle, and the Newport News Greek Festival, which is going on tomorrow through Sunday. And, of course, congratulations to Ethan of Moyock last week for winning Tides tickets. Ethan from Moyock, North Carolina. And also, I was on Phil Hawes' radio show on ESPN 980 in Washington. As many of you know, I used to work for Red Zebra in Virginia Beach for 6 years. They own that station as well, and a station in Richmond. And ESPN 980 is the flagship station of the Redskins, was on his golf show a few weeks ago. NBA heating up, of course. The finals starts tomorrow. NHL, you got Pittsburgh 1-0 over San Jose. They play tonight, of course. You got Major League Baseball, Orioles, Nationals doing pretty solid so far. Great interviews, business segments, highlights, commentary. What tees me off? It's all right here on Sports Scene. Before we join Harry, a locals tradition is CP Shuckers with locations on Shore Drive and Pacific Avenue. People love their prime rib, seafood, and much more. Go by and see Matt, Mark, and Leon. Had some really good fish soup at their Shore Drive location. Really, really good. Like both locations on Facebook and log on to cpshuckers.com. Eat or be eaten at CP Shuckers. Watch NASCAR, Major League Baseball, NHL, NBA, college sports, golf, soccer, tennis. It's all at CP Shuckers. Well, I knew his brother, his late brother, Mike Minium. He worked for the Daily Press for several years. We want to welcome Harry Minium, who's been an accomplished sports writer for the Pilot, PilotOnline.com. Harry, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on, Greg. And my gosh, you have more sponsors than we do at the newspaper. That's a lot of sponsors.
Oh, very good, very good. Hey, you know, and of course, you've covered that a lot in your recent stuff with Old Dominion. Let's go ahead and start off right there with Old Dominion football. Of course,
Sure.
It's still June 1st, but what you've been covering a lot lately has been the stadium. And of course, it seems like it was a very proactive role for one gentleman, but the board of visitors and Wood Seelig and the president kind of let him know that there is a pecking order involved.
That they did. That would be Stephen Ballard of SV Ballard Construction, who is probably Old Dominion's most prominent athletic booster. The stadium is, after all, named Foreman Field at SV Ballard Stadium because of the money he donated to renovate the stadium. He proposed an unsolicited proposal, which is allowed under state law, to build Old Dominion a 25,000-seat stadium. It would cost a maximum of $124 million. He wouldn't tell me what the minimum was. He said that was proprietary. It all depended on what kind of niceties you wanted in the stadium. And the Board of the Visitors met behind closed doors for about 15 or 20 minutes and came out and said, we unanimously decided not to look at this. This is not part of their process. Their process has been laid out by the board and by the ODU president, and they're going to move on with the process. And if he wants to bid later, we'd welcome a bid later.
But like you've said so many times in your articles, too, it pushes back time regardless. Obviously, you're looking several seasons down the line.
Well, I'm searching my memory here to make sure I have the correct season. Steve, actually, he proposed a pretty accelerated schedule that would have Old Dominion and agreeing to this project, not necessarily him doing this project, but this project in July, and then bidding it out and basically coming to an agreement this fall. He would start purchasing construction materials in December and would have the stadium open in time for ODU's first home game against Virginia Tech on September 22nd, 2018. Mm-hmm. That was a very aggressive schedule, which obviously is not going to be met now. One of the things I learned since all this stuff broke on Ballard's proposal is that Old Dominion is of the opinion, and I think they're right, that they need General Assembly approval before they can go forward with the stadium, which means they've got to come up with a stadium proposal, and then it's got to be approved by the House of Delegates and the state Senate when it meets in January. So we're not looking at an approved stadium plan at the earliest until March, one that has the state seal of approval. So I'm figuring probably 2019 at the earliest, maybe 2020 before they have a new stadium.
Right.
It's really hard to say. It's all speculation because I have no idea what they are going to propose. They're keeping a very tight lid on that.
Right. Of course, it takes a lot of time. You look at all the success. I think Old Dominion is almost a victim of their own success. They really dominated some of the lower tier teams they played early on. They had a lot of success. They made the, let's say the 1AA postseason. Of course, very successful under Coach Wilder, the only coach they've had. They've been on TV. They've had a lot of great, statewide success. They've hosted camps here as well. But of course, what has not been relevant is their stadium. And of course, kids today like all the amenities. The basketball facility, the TED is still fairly new. 0203 was the first year. They're building brand new buildings all around the campus all the time. But Foreman Field is by no means brand new. It's decades upon decades old. I've been in several press boxes, just as you have, all over the country. That is the worst press box for a Division I college football team I've ever been to. It's not their fault, but let's do a little upgrade. Why not? Why not an upgrade? Let's start off there.
I'll tell you one that's worse, and that's Florida International. As a matter of fact, the next time Old Dominion plays at Florida International, they may not send me. That's how bad it is. You're on the 0-yard line, and when it rains, you can't see anything. I was trying to tweet out play-by-play of the game, and I couldn't see the game. It was ridiculous. But other than that, Old Dominion is by far the worst of any Division I press box that I've seen, and that includes 1AA. I mean, most 1AA press boxes are better than this. Even William & Mary's, which is I know is going through an upgrade, but even its old press box was better than. But that's not what they're looking to upgrade. What they're looking to upgrade are fan amenities, and they've got problems there. The fan amenities at Foreman Field are lacking. The stadium's 80 years old. The aisles, the seats were designed for people 80 years ago. And people were a lot smaller back then. They weren't as tall. They weren't as big. They weren't as, excuse me for saying this, they weren't as rotund as we are now, and that's me included.
Right.
And so now the fan experience is basically you've got your knees in someone's back, and someone's got their knees in your back. If someone needs to get up to go to the restroom, everyone's got to get up. There are not enough restrooms, so porta-johns that's your primary choice. The concession stands are backed up, so they have. Old Dominion's done as much as they can, and they've done a good job with the food trucks. But the what they would call egress and ingress into the stadium is also bad. When they built the new visitors locker room, which they had to do when they moved to FBS. That shut off an avenue for students to get to the student section, so there's really only one way to do that. And the human traffic jams I see about 10 minutes before game time are mind-boggling. It's just not a comfortable place to watch a game. And they have been talking from the day they announced in 2012 they were going to FBS. They knew they were going to have to build a new stadium. As a matter of fact, they knew in 2009 when they started playing football, eventually Foreman Field would have to come down. Structurally, it is just not sound enough to last the test of time. It cannot be extensively renovated. It has to come down to be renovated. And they've taken a long time to study this issue. A lot of their fans would say too long. In 2012, they said it was going to be part of a campus master plan. That campus master plan started in 2013. They decided let's build a stadium on the waterfront, and then, it got delayed by the General Assembly for a while, and then they sat on it for a while they were dealing with budget issues, and lo and behold, they hired Populous Architects a year ago. They're hoping the study will be done in December, and now it's June 1st, and from what Old Dominion officials tell me, the the study is still not in their hands.
Yeah, this is not going to happen, but ideally, if you look back at when Harbor Park was built, with all that property back then where the boathouse is, that to me would have been a pretty good ideal location as well. You would have had a lot of parking and so forth, but not to mention the safety of the fans. The stands themselves are decrepit. It's just, the traffic on Hampton right there, the boulevard, trying to get to and from wherever the neighborhoods are being superseded during the fall, during holiday shopping. It's just a really, really awkward time right around October, November there. You're exactly right. And security, police, safety, everything that goes with it.
I would respectfully disagree somewhat to that. I don't think traffic is nearly as much of a problem as they thought it would be. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons for that is they have so many people who tailgate, who show up early. Now, if you had 20,000 people showing up like they do at the Constant, like the 8,600 they have showing up at the Constant Center 15 minutes before game time, then you've got a problem. And they may have problems if they build a 25 or 30,000 seat stadium. That's going to be 5 or 10,000 more people. And that's an issue I assume that Populous is dealing with. I know they're dealing with. Dave Harney at Old Dominion has told me they're going to deal with all the traffic issues, all the neighborhood concerns, and all that. One thing Old Dominion and the city of Norfolk have been good about about keeping problems out of Larchmont and Lambert's Point and Highland Park. The police have done a pretty good job of towing people who park back there who shouldn't be parked back there. In most the areas of those neighborhoods, you have to have a sticker. You have to be a resident to park back there. They've done a pretty good job of keeping people out of there. Now, the problem with building a stadium on the waterfront, as they proposed back in 2013, is that those problems, I think, would exacerbate because you're back on the backside of campus, on the Hampton Boulevard part of campus. At least you're near, 6 lanes of road there. On the backside of campus, there's just no good way in and out.
Well, let's get through some bullet points. Talking to Harry Minium. Harry, go ahead and plug your Twitter handle. I know you're very active on Twitter.
What is my Twitter handle? It's at Harry_Minium VP, I believe. And
pretty much if you Google it, you can find it as well. Greg Bick on Twitter. This is Sports Scene. It's 12:19 up until 1 o'clock live on 1650. TuneIn.com. Type in WHKT to listen on your phone or your computer. Well, Wilder, how have you noticed the difference with him the last several years going to this level? He's had a lot of turnover in coaches. Of course, that does happen. Bill D is gone, was with him for several years, but it's a constant turnover. And look at the drama going on at Baylor. I guess they can be thankful it's nothing like that, but they are playing a Conference USA team in football this year. Baylor is, ironically, that's going to be one of the TV games. It's going to be the Rice game on September the 16th. So
I didn't realize that.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah.
Yes, that's going to be one of the TV games. But
Baylor will still win easily.
Yes.
Anyway.
Your thoughts about the TV schedule. And let me just say this, folks, before Harry chimes in here, too. The ESPN3 thing is a big deal for Old Dominion. They've had their games when they were a 1AA team. The entire NCAA baseball tournament's on ESPN3, but it's not great for Old Dominion this year. None of their games are going to be on ESPN television unless they get to the Conference USA Championship.
Yeah, we don't know their television schedule yet, which is I was talking with someone from the Conference USA office last week and saying, what's taking so long? And they reminded me that last year we didn't have the schedule till mid-June. So it's just, I think one of the things that has had us all kind of impatiently waiting is that they didn't know who their TV affiliates were going to be until last week. Mm-hmm. And they have agreements with ESPN, which is a limited agreement, just 5 regular season games in the conference football championship game. That's it. And a lot of games will be on ESPN3. The American Sports Network is probably going to televise 30 or 40 games. They televised most Old Dominion games last year. The CBS Network, I believe, is going to televise 10. And BN Sports TV, which is from Al Jazeera, is an offshoot of the Al Jazeera network in Qatar, which is just a little, I don't know, I would call that a little bizarre, that Conference USA has basically cut a deal with an Al Jazeera network. But they're big. They have a big footprint in the United States. They're on streaming. They're on cable. They have good ratings for soccer, and they're going to be doing 10 Conference USA football games. and a lot of baseball and soccer and other things. There's also another streaming network who we don't know yet, who they're going to announce this week. We'll be doing Conference USA games. I mean, Old Dominion, all their games are going to be on television. The problem is going to be finding them. Several of them are going to be streaming only, probably 3 or 4 streaming only. Most of the rest will probably be on the American Sports Network. Overall, it's nothing. It's not the ACC, and Conference USA is not the ACC. But if you want to watch Old Dominion on television, you can do it.
Yeah, the question is, I'm curious about the Hampton and the Massachusetts game. These have been documented so far by ESPN, Harry. Indiana at FIU on September 1st, on ESPNU at September 1st, like we said, at 7:30. On September 16th, Baylor Rice at 8 o'clock on ESPN. That same evening at 9:30 on ESPN2, Arizona State at UTSA on, I believe, November 25th, Louisiana Tech against Southern Miss on a to-be-determined channel, as well as Western Kentucky and Marshall on the 26th. And the theme of this is, look at the teams they're playing. Indiana's from the Big Ten. Baylor is a big power conference school. And, of course, Arizona State. It's not because of the Conference USA. It's the non-conference opponents they're playing before they play their couple conference games that are going to be on TV that are appealing to the mass TV networks and the audience.
That's exactly right, and that is something Conference USA is aware of, and they have told their schools you need to start scheduling home games with Power 5 schools and stop doing so many $1 million games on the road. That's going to make our TV contract more valuable. And Old Dominion, just to go over their schedule in the future,
Sure.
They don't have, the only Power 5 they have this year is they're at NC State, and that's on ESPN3. I know that disappointed everyone at Old Dominion that didn't get on ESPN2 or ESPNU or something. But in 2017, they have North Carolina at home, and they're at Virginia Tech. In 2018, they have Virginia Tech at home. They're at East Carolina and Virginia. In 2019, at Virginia Tech and East Carolina home. 2020, they have Wake Forest and Virginia at home, and they're at North Carolina, and all 3 of those games will be on some kind of national TV. Mm-hmm. I've actually written a column saying I think this is too much. I think this is too much for a new FBS program. It's too much to ask a coach to play 3 Power 5 schools and try and break even in the at least break even in the conference and go to a bowl. You're going to have to finish 5-3 in the conference to go to a bowl if you play 3 Power 5s, because the odds are you're not going to beat any of the Power 5s.
Yeah, and the odds are the Virginia and Virginia Tech fans are going to have to go to Foreman Field, not used to the amenities they see at Scott Stadium or in Blacksburg either. They're going to have to get used to that because it's not the same thing going to those 2 stadiums respectively.
Well, that certainly will be the case in 2018
Sure.
when Virginia Tech comes here. The next, Virginia is not scheduled to come here until 2020.
That's pushing it.
Yeah. Boy, you got to believe they'll have a stadium open by then.
You would hope so.
Yes, I mean that would be 6 years after they announced they're moving up to, or actually 6 years after they moved up to FBS.
Right.
7 years actually. That's just too long.
Right.
And I think they get it. I think they understand that the people are impatient and they're working as fast as they can to get this done. John Broderick and I talk from time to time. He's not giving me any hints as to what's going to happen when the Board of Visitors meets next Thursday. But this is their top priority right now. Their budget is done, and they're working on this now.
See, here's the advantage football has, too. They play once a week. You're talking 10, 11, 12 games, sometimes more if you make the postseason. They're playing teams like Hampton and Appalachian State, NC State, teams that a lot of the Old Dominion fans recognize. But like basketball, they're playing schools, like UTSA on a regular basis, home and away, and Rice and all these different schools that the fans really can't get mad at like they did with VCU and George Mason. And I still think that's a little bit of an issue, but there's no perfect conference. But in a perfect world, not told with this, wouldn't it have been nice if they were in the Atlantic 10 for basketball and maybe stayed in the CAA for football? But I guess they couldn't have done that.
Well, and hindsight is 100, 40-40.
Sure.
I mean, they had no idea that there was they didn't know that the big split between the mid majors and the majors was coming. That the mid majors would For one thing, they didn't realize that East Carolina and Tulane, especially East Carolina and Tulane and Tulsa, were going to leave the Conference USA. Mm-hmm. They didn't realize that the cost of attendance was going to cost them, $1 million a year. They didn't realize that the TV contracts were going to become worth a lot less money than they were. They didn't know all this when they went into this, and I don't know what they would do in 2012, knowing what they know now. But sure. There's no way to go back. And the Atlantic 10, I think that was Wood's preferred option. I think he wanted to go in the Atlantic 10 and stay in the CAA and football. But I'm not sure the CAA would have agreed to that. And the Atlantic 10 certainly did not agree to that. They said, we're worried. You have football. You're going to want to do something with it. You're in a huge metropolitan area. You're the only game in town. You're going to do something with it someday. And we're a basketball conference. So.
You're right. Harry, I want you to hold on during the news break, if you don't mind, just for a couple minutes. Always enjoy talking. You also want to get a story about your late brother, Mike, as well. Talking to Harry Minium, he's going to talk more about the camps coming up and recruiting, as well as meaning the satellite camps, too, over at Old Dominion. Are they relevant for the fans? Are they relevant for the opposing teams? Are they relevant for recruiting? Ask Nick Saban what he thinks about satellite camps. Ha, ha. Anyway, this is Sports Scene right here on News Talk 1650, along with Ken Johnson, Greg Bicouvaris, at Greg Bick on Twitter, at Sports Highlight, at GJBTV, and HROnlineMall.com. Go to GJBTV.com, hit the YouTube link for archive shows. Stay tuned. More of Harry Minium on Sports Scene after this with Ken Johnson. Ken, take it away.
And traffic, last check, was doing pretty good with no major incidents going on, and steady roll of traffic at all the bridges and tunnels. Just one bridge opening on the schedule. But it's at a busy spot. That's the high-rise bridge on I-64 in Chesapeake, scheduled for this evening at 7 p.m. Something coming up this Friday that'll be starting off affecting traffic heading into the terminals, the ship terminals over there, and also possibly the base. Terminal Boulevard, they're going to be resurfacing Terminal Boulevard for the entire stretch. They'll start with the eastbound lanes. When they finish that, they'll flip around and do the westbound lanes. The closures will be taking place 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. weeknights, and then on the weekends, 8 p.m. Friday nights through 5 a.m. Monday mornings, detours in place, and that'll go on until January of 2017. Increasing cloudiness, scattered showers, thunderstorms this afternoon, 78 for the high. Scattered showers and thunderstorms tonight, a low of 70. And for tomorrow, some morning showers, then partly clearing up just a bit by the afternoon, a high of 81. Don't get comfortable, more rain coming in on Friday. News is next on AM 1650, WHKT, 1230.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. A news agency affiliated with ISIS says U.S.-led airstrikes have hit several key bridges in northern Syria, the attack severing a key ISIS supply route between the Turkish border and an Islamic State stronghold. A video has emerged that appears to show a knife being kicked toward the body of a Palestinian attacker who was shot and killed by an Israeli soldier in the West Bank, raising the possibility of evidence tampering. The U.S. Senate report says at least 4 automakers are selling new vehicles that have potentially deadly Takata airbag inflators. And the family of the 3-year-old boy who got into the gorilla enclosure at the Cincinnati Zoo says the child is doing well. He's been checked out by a doctor now. On Wall Street, the Dow down 19 points. The NASDAQ is off 2 points. This is SRN News.
Do you have a family member who's getting older and can no longer be safely left alone? With Visiting Angels America's Choice in Senior Home Care, your parents and older family members can continue living at home and not have to move into a nursing home. Experienced, compassionate caregivers provide assistance in hygiene, meal preparation, and light housework up to 24 hours per day at affordable rates. To restore your family's peace of mind, call Visiting Angels toll-free today at 877-374-LIVE or at visitingangels.com.
What if 1 million people gathered together for one purpose? Jesus. Be part of Together 2016 this summer on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. On July 16, this generation will stand together with Hillsong United, Francis Chan, Lecrae, Carrie Job, and many, many more, because we believe Jesus changes everything. Be part of something big. More information on this free event is at reset2016.com. Reset2016.com.
Mark your calendar for June 2nd to 5th as Saints Constantine and Helen Greek Orthodox Church in Newport News presents the Newport News Greek Festival. Enjoy Greek food, desserts, beverages, music, dancing, arts and crafts, and much more. This is the signature event of the year in Hampton Roads with free admission and parking. Located at 60 Traverse Road off exit 258B on Route 17 in Newport News. For more, log on to newportnewsgreekfestival.org.
The place to go for U.S. rare coins is Newcastle Coins and Collectibles in Chesapeake. They specialize in U.S. and silver and gold coins and provide free verbal offers and are always buying U.S. rare coins. Newcastle Coins and Collectibles, 681 North Battlefield Boulevard in Chesapeake, across from Chesapeake General, open Tuesday through Saturday and always online at newcastlecollectibles.com. Call 757-609-3633, 757-609-3633 for Newcastle Coins and Collectibles. Catch up on archived editions of Sports Scene by going to gjbtv.com and clicking the YouTube image on the homepage. Now back to Sports Scene on 1650 AM and TuneIn.com.
And welcome back to Sports Scene, live right here on the radio, your 10,000-watt news talk powerhouse of Hampton Roads, 1650 AM. Tell your friends, say hello to all the tourists out there as well, driving throughout 64 and all the different areas of Hampton Roads as well. Also, tunein.com, type in WHKT to listen on your phone or your computer. Connect at Greg Bick on Twitter, all my Twitter handles on gjbtv.com. Talking to Harry Minium from the Virginian-Pilot. Harry, it's really changed a lot when the Pilot, the Ledger Star, you talk about pilotonline.com, so many different titles now. How do you keep up with all that?
The workload, believe it or not, technology just made the workload worse.
Yes.
We write headlines, we do keywords, we post pictures. I got on Twitter when I was doing Norfolk City Hall, I guess all around 6 years ago, and I'm addicted to it now. So we're on Twitter all the time. You're tweeting links to your stories, you're tweeting information to fans. It's you're on Facebook. It's a whole different. I mean, it's so different than when I broke in. We were using typewriters when I broke in 1979. It's a completely different world.
What do you think your late brother Mike would have thought about it? Mike worked for the Daily Press for so many years with Tony Anthony and so many great people over there.
Yeah, Mike was kind of old school. I mean, and but he was also very adaptable. I think he would be just like me. He'd be on Twitter. I think he'd be fine with everything. I think one of the great things that has happened in the last couple of years is that the Daily Press and the Virginian-Pilot have, we've begun to share some content from time to time. Mm-hmm. Ed Miller is doing some UVA coverage for the Daily Press, and that's great. My brother was, I don't want to get too emotional. He died of cancer in 2001. He left 4 kids and a beautiful wife behind, Patty. And Patty married another Mike, a guy named Mike Muniz, who brought two kids, and that made 6. And then they had a child themselves called Helen. And so they now have 7 kids, most of whom are in college or out of college. Margaret recently graduated from Auburn. Congratulations. And Patty is, many of you know who are on the peninsula, has been fighting a form of leukemia for a couple of years now, and had bone marrow treatment at the VCU MCV Medical Center over the winter. And she's doing well. That family has been through a lot, and I love them all.
Very good, very good. All the best to her and her family as well. Talking to Harry Minium, Greg Bicouvaris, glad you're with us. This is Sports Scene up until 1 o'clock, and I'm going over a few more topics. The satellite camps have been kind of controversial. Coach Harbaugh has been a lot about that in the news from Michigan, going to different places. Saban has given his thoughts about it from Alabama. What are your thoughts about it? And is this a distraction? Is this just, oh, wow, we got a big-time school here? Look at us. I mean, what does this really prove?
I'm kind of on the fence. I understand Coach Bobby Wilder. His take on these camps are this: bringing Michigan, Florida State, Maryland, Penn State to ODU brings kids to ODU's campus who would never come here otherwise. Also, bringing those schools to Hampton Roads allows kids who can't afford to drive to Ann Arbor or to Tallahassee to be evaluated by those coaches. On the other hand, I also see the arguments of Nick Saban and other that these are recruiting camps. They are. I think the NCAA is probably going to set up some rules for having a minimum amount of instruction and less evaluation. And Old Dominion and their camps is certainly doing that. Ron Wickham, the quarterback's camp at ODU, coach at ODU, who coordinates their camps, is requiring every FBS school that comes to an ODU camp has to bring at least 5 coaches with them. That way, coaching is being done. You just don't have one coach there evaluating kids and leaving. You've got coaches actually working with kids. So I'm gonna kind of stay out of this one. I think the NCAA screwed up when they just did away with camps a couple of months ago. I think the camps ought to be allowed on a limited basis, probably a lot more limited than what Michigan is doing. I think it's 38 and counting the number of camps that their staff is going to do, and that's a bit much.
It is. Talking to Harry Minium, Greg Bicouvaris, glad you're with us live right here at 1238, 1650 AM, tunein.com. Type in WHKT right now to listen on your phone or your computer, tell your friends, and archive shows. This show will be archived within 24 hours. Go to gjbtv.com. Hit the big YouTube link on the homepage. Well, recruiting, how did it go overall? They've got 6 home games. They've got Hampton at home. They've got a couple other decent games at home. They got some tough road games like Appalachian State and NC State. What do you think of this 2016 season? This has all been kind of hidden because of the stadium and the satellite camps and the off season. The reality is, will they get 6 wins this year?
That's and you're right. You're absolutely right. I've been writing everything about everything but the team this summer. It's ridiculous. This spring and summer, it's ridiculous. With the cost of attendance and everything else. They have a shot of winning 6 or 7 games. I mean, there are some games they're really going to struggle to win. Appalachian State beat them 49-0 last year, and they're at Appalachian. That's a tough place to play. At NC State, that's a tough game. At Western Kentucky, another tough game. Southern Mississippi and Marshall at home, 2 really tough games. They're going to have to. They've got to beat Hampton. They've got to beat UTSA, Texas San Antonio. They got to win at UNC Charlotte. And they got to meet UMass. They beat those 4 schools, and I think they got a shot of going to a bowl, and those are 4 of their first 6 games. So I think we'll know a lot about Old Dominion. When they have their bye on October 15th, I think we'll know a lot about them at that time.
And Hampton's played them tough over the years, and to play them so early in September, Wilder better be buttoned up before he overlooks the Appalachian State game there.
Yeah, well, he knows. Yeah, I don't think he will. Bobby really respects Hampton and Norfolk State. He would love to alternate playing them, Hampton one year, Norfolk State the next. Mm-hmm. Norfolk State played Old Dominion pretty tough last year. It was a close game until late in the fourth quarter. Hampton played Old Dominion pretty well a couple of years ago. They know they've got to beat Hampton, and if they lose to Hampton and they go to Appalachian and NC State and lose, they're 0-3, and they're in big trouble. So they know that's the one game they've got to win out of those first 3. And they know that. Well,
they went 5-7 last year. We'll see what they do in 2016. Harry, thank you so much for joining us and all your time, your talent, and your treasure that you do with the Pilot and Twitter and all your blogs. And thank you for everything you do for sports in the area.
Thank you, Greg. I appreciate you having me.
My pleasure. Harry Minium right there from the Pilot Online. Ken, and so much has changed there with the Pilot, the Ledger Star. We've had a lot of different guests like Bob Molinaro from that paper as well. But the whole print industry has just totally evolved.
Yeah, it has to, because print, it's almost like listen to a Victrola, or even today to a degree a cassette. The technology has changed to the point where it's struggling to become relevant. You have to change to stay relevant, I guess. And I remember the old days when it was the Virginian-Pilot, Ledger Star, morning and afternoon editions, special editions in between if needed, and the affiliation with the TV station. So
yeah, now the stuff in between now is just an update online on the website or Twitter. That's pretty much what it is now. I cannot wait till Ken and I get to what tease me off, folks, you don't want to miss that as well. Introducing lunch at Outback every bloomin' day with your favorites like Aussie tacos made with chicken, fish, or steak, or try their new ribeye melt topped with bacon, cheddar, and garlic aioli, all in a toasted artisan bun. With over 70 lunch combinations starting at only $6.99, it's now lunch at last at Outback. 523-4832 right there at 1255 Fordham Drive in the Kempsville area. Go by and see Mike and the great staff. Get a burger, get a steak, get a great appetizer right there at Outback Steakhouse. Great place for Father's Day every day, lunch and dinner at 1255 Fordham Drive. We'll take a short break. We'll be back after these messages.
When it comes to automobile service in Hampton Roads, Fink's Car Care is the place locals have counted on for decades. Family owned and operated, they specialize in oil changes, state inspection, radiator service, tires, alignments, and showcase Win Automotive products. Military and senior discounts are available. Like them on Facebook and visit them on South Military Highway in Chesapeake and Victory Boulevard in Portsmouth, Monday through Saturday. For more, log on to finkscarcare.com and call 545-3573.
People in Chesapeake and Hampton Roads have come to expect the finest Italian food at Spaghetti Eddie's. In addition to great lunch and dinner served daily, this fine establishment caters to and can host your party. Call 484-7301 for their Taylor Road location and call 410-5500 for their restaurant in Greenbrier. For more, log on to SpaghettiEddiesPizzaCafe.com.
Long's Billiards in Newport News is having a massive sale. 7, 8, even 9-foot tables are at an all-time low price, including Connolly, Brunswick, and Olhausen. 1,000 pool cues in stock are up to 30, 40, even 50% off. Over 100 pool tables also on sale. When gone, they're gone forever. Log on to longsbilliards.com. Call 599-3661 and visit them at 9906 Warwick Boulevard. Major clearance prices going on now at Long's Billiards.
Interact with Sports Scene on Twitter at Greg Bick. Email the show, bicogb@hotmail.com. Now back to Greg Bicouvaris in the Hampton Roads Online Mall.com studios. It's now time for Greg's Highlights, presented by Hampton Roads Online Mall.com.
Always a pleasure. Was at the Nationals game recently against the Cardinals. To me, again, with the Nationals, they were on Fox this past Saturday night against the Cardinals. Beat the Cardinals, beat teams like the Cubs, and you'll get the respect. The Nationals have only gone to the postseason a couple times, and they have to do something in September and October, in my opinion, to be relevant. Injuries happen every day. Look at David Wright with the Mets. Harper is injured a lot. We'll see. Zimmerman's getting older and older by the day. We'll see how they do in the dog days of summer. Saffron Mediterranean Cuisine. Oh, my goodness. Went to one of their recent parties that David hosted. Folks, you have to try their shish kebabs. If you're watching their carbs, just go by and get the shish kebabs and the salad at 10417 Warwick Boulevard, Hilton Village section of Newport News. Give them a call at 223-9978. He's got it all there. Hot and cold appetizers, wraps, entrees, fish, kids menu, desserts. They've got stews. They've got great lunch and dinner, 7 days a week, dine-in, carry-out, and catering. Outdoor dining as well. Free parking right there at Saffron Mediterranean Cuisine. Shish kebabs, shish kebabs, shish kebabs. They are yum. Right there at 10417 Warwick Boulevard, Hilton Village section of Newport News. Like them on Facebook. Follow them on Twitter. Well, of course, we got archive shows on gjbtv.com. Hit the YouTube link. Shop on the marketplace sponsors of gjbtv.com. You might find something you might like. Save the date. We'll be back next Wednesday for Sports Scene from 12 to 1. Want to thank Harry Minium today for joining us. Of course, Hampton Roads Online Mall.com. Browse, shop, visit. That's where you'll see Laconical and so many great sponsors. You just click the image. Takes you right to the website. Nobody has time to read blogs and minutia. Hampton Roads Online Mall.com. You simply click the image like Laconical or the Egg Bistro or Spaghetti Eddie's, takes you right to their website. Special thanks to B-Dubs, Papa John's, and TGIFs as well. Well, he'll be here again. We talked to him recently, as we did right before the Norfolk Greek Festival a few weeks ago. The Newport News Greek Festival starts tomorrow through Sunday. Let's welcome a regular, Dinos Pierrakos. How are you, my friend?
Hello, Greg. How are you doing? Thank you so much for having me back on your show.
Very good. Happy June 1st. And of course,
June.
We are getting people ready for the Newport News Greek Festival. It starts tomorrow through Sunday. And let's talk about Laconical. First of all, how did things go in Norfolk?
Yes, they went great. We had a lot of new faces, new customers. We taught them a lot about olive oil, what they should look for in quality olive oil. And it was a great turnout. Wonderful food, great music, and, of course, one of the world's best extra virgin olive oils.
Yes, and let's talk about your olive oil, too. Your container at the top, I like how it's sectioned off where you're not pouring everything out at once. It's almost like comes out in piecemeal, and I think people like that when they're drizzling it on their food. Yes.
It goes amazing on food, for cooking, or for finishing the food with extra flavor. Extra virgin olive oil is a great and a wonderful food enhancer and taste enhancer. So anything that you finish off with it, especially a quality olive oil like ours, which has a nice fruitiness and butteriness to it, it'll change anything you put it on.
People can go by and see Dino and his staff tomorrow through Sunday at the Newport News Greek Festival. It's at the Hellenic Center on 60 Traverse Road in Newport News off exit 258B on J. Clyde Morris. And really, you're going to have some great olives and great olive oil. Talk about the variety.
Yes. We're going to have amazing Kalamata olives, very different, and cracked green olives, very different than what you usually find on the supermarket shelf, including our award-winning olive oil, which is the base to all of our infusions. We have garlic-infused extra virgin olive oil, for example, for a quick scampi, amazing white pizza. We have basil-infused olive oil, rosemary, amazing on chicken, meat, potatoes in the oven. And, of course, for the first time, we're going to be presenting our new line of balsamic vinegars that we just got in. So we will be bringing some traditional and amazing balsamic vinegar from Modena, Italy.
Oh, cannot wait to try that out. Of course, that'll be all 4 days?
Yes, all 4 days, starting tomorrow all the way till Sunday. But don't wait till Sunday, because usually everything is sold out, including the amazing food.
Of course, you'll be inside the Hellenic Center. Go by and say hello to Dino. He's very friendly. And, of course, let me ask you this. When you and your brother go shopping, your significant other, your father, whoever, and you're at the grocery store and you see the various olive oil bottles there, does that sometimes kind of upset you because all the drama that some of the olive oil has gone through, the scrutiny it's gone through?
That's right. It's unfortunate. What most consumers don't know is that the majority of your olive oils, over 70% of all the olive oils on the market today that say on them extra virgin, are unfortunately not a full-body extra virgin olive oil. That's why the majority tend to have an oily muskiness rather than a clean fruitiness and butteriness of what the true juice of the olive fruit should taste like. The majority of the olive oils, like I said, are cut and blended. Over 70% are cut and blended with usually rancid oils, followed by canola, vegetable, hazelnut. Even in the past has been found motor oil has been blended in the past.
Wow.
So unfortunate. It's unfortunate that yes, it's not harshly regulated, especially in the food industry, and that's why there's so much fraud, because the demand way surpasses the supply.
Well, tell us the good stuff. You're on Facebook. Tell us your website and all the good stuff.
You can find us on our webpage, www.laconico.com, LACONIKO. You find us on Facebook. Find amazing little recipe ideas to get you started, and take it from there. And you can find us with anything you need. We're always here. Even if you call us, we're always happy to serve and teach and just share our amazing production.
Folks, really good olive oil. I guess the vinegar, too, you can put it on fish, too. It's summertime.
Oh, it's amazing, especially some of the flavors that we're going to be presenting for the first time. It's amazing. We have one that's a lemon cucumber, which is so bright, so amazing for the summertime, especially. Our fig, balsamic, which goes amazing on everything. We have a chocolate balsamic, which, you have to taste to believe.
Wow, chocolate balsamic. Folks, go by the Newport News Greek Festival. If you don't do anything else, just go out and hang out and buy stuff at Laconical. He'll be indoors, always smiling. Dino, thank you so much, my friend.
Thank Thank you so very much, Greg.
And we'll see you tomorrow.
Have a wonderful week.
Have a great festival. Okay. That right there is Dino Pierrakos. And, of course, Ken, when you're making fish and different meats and seafoods and salads, nothing like good olive oil and vinegar.
Absolutely. It's good on just about anything. Cooking, eating, you can probably bathe in it. I don't know if you want to do that.
I would love to.
If you want that nice, fresh aroma, why not?
I'd rather dive into that than a swimming pool sometimes. I love the pool and the beach. The lake, that's another story. Smoking Q's Barbecue and Grill. Real men cook with wood. Open Monday through Saturday. They're in the Churchland Shopping Center in Portsmouth. Give them a call at 484-7075. They've got it all from the smoker, Carolina-style pulled pork dinners from the sea, crab cakes. They've got spicy garlic wings. They've got it all. Sandwiches, fried fish sandwich. They got salads. They've got soups. They got chili, great mac and cheese, baked beans, Ken's famous cabbage, Southern-style green beans. It's all right there at Smokin' Q's Barbecue and Grill right there in the Churchland Shopping Center. Kenny, let's get to what tees me off.
With a quick little sidebar.
Yes, go ahead.
It's not mine. You don't want to turn them off. You said Ken's famous.
No, not Ken Johnson.
It's not mine. So, go, because it'll be good.
That's Ken's ego talking, folks. He's acting like Bruce Williams' favorite radio host.
I just don't want him to go there and think, oh, geez, Johnson made that stuff. I'm not getting, no.
Well, you talked about it so much on the radio, Kenny.
What tees you off? Presented by GJBTV.com.
Well, Ken, actually what tees me off is that is not your restaurant, so we can't go there and eat afterwards. But anyway, was talking Bar Rescue a few weeks ago, as you know, on What Tees Me Off, presented by Hampton Roads Online Mall.com and GJBTV.com. I'd seen John Daly on there during a recent episode, the famous golfer. At the time, his fiance's restaurant was just going south completely, and John Daly was trying to just sit there and say, whatever. When a neighbor leaves a bag of grass clippings on your curb in front of your house that had nothing to do with your yard, Kenny.
Really? They do that?
Once in a blue moon.
Was there a car or something in front of their house that they couldn't put it in plain view for the people to pick up?
I was gone that whole entire day, and actually, great neighbor just piled a bag of clippings like I really want to see it. I don't think it was the neighbor. I think it was the yard person.
I should ask first at the very least.
Oh, yours truly got rid of it. Old pictures, not relevant, period. Folks, this is 2016. If you want to go down memory lane on Facebook, share that with mom and dad during Thanksgiving or Christmas. Most of your friends don't want to see it. Kenny, we talked about this a few weeks ago. Good and bad network radio announcers on the news side only. I'll leave sports out of it for the most part. Kenny, your thoughts on that?
There are good announcers, and there are announcers that maybe it's time for them either to rethink their careers or just update themselves. When people can't understand your name, that's a bit of a problem. And if you have a speech impediment of some kind, I mean, Barbara Walters got away with it, but there are others, not so much.
Right. All right. Wacky screen names on social media, and I got to admit, Kenny, your email address, we're not going to get into it now, is really wacky, but some of the wacky screen names on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, why not just keep it simple, Kenny?
Some people, I think, are trying to be overly clever with it, and that's not working for them. In other cases, like in my email address, I was told to make it as complicated and convoluted as possible, but something I would remember. So that's why I did that for security reasons.
Oh, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying, and the good thing
it's
now,
complicated.
It is complicated, just like we all are. But Kenny, one good thing about it is now the technologies kind of gain ground as well. Pretty much you start typing the letters, it automatically pops in anyway. So it's not as difficult, and pretty much a saved address is what it is. All right, this is what really teased me off. This whole gorilla thing in Ohio. Look, a human life is a lot more important than anything else. Repeat, a human life is more important than anything else. Enough said. Accidents happen with parents. Accidents happen with kids. They could be at a department store. They could be at an amusement park right now listening to this show, going to an amusement park and leaving little Susie away, or Johnny, or whoever. It's an adult's responsibility to keep an eye on a kid. With that said, kids are elusive. Can you know that? They escape in your own house. But when you see a monster-like gorilla who can squash a coconut, repeat, squash a coconut, and you see an innocent 4-year-old boy both the kids were scared, the families were scared, the gorilla obviously was scared. I'm sorry the gorilla is gone, but I'm thankful to the man upstairs that kid is alive. That could have been a nasty, nasty video image that all of us would remember the rest of our lives.
Put it all in perspective, hundreds of innocent children are murdered every single day, and the silence is deafening. One gorilla is killed to save a human child, and people lose their minds.
Right. That kid was dragged on the floor. You saw that, Kenny, on the bottom of the floor there in filth and dirty water. That is not exactly aqua blue swimming chlorine type water either. That kid was like the size of an acorn compared to that King Kong sized gorilla. I'm sorry that King Kong got killed, but I'm thankful to goodness that kid is still alive.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's discussion about, was the gorilla trying to protect him? Was he startled by the crowd? You've seen other apes handling their children a little roughly, if you will, the baby apes. Who knows what was going on? The big thing is you don't know what was going on. You have to act on the assumption that there is potential for harm to a child, and I don't care what anyone says, a human child is worth more than 4 million gorillas.
Absolutely. And of course, think about this too. Kenny, is one thing about Shih Tzus or Yorkies. Those are pretty innocent dogs. But if you have a Great Dane, because summertime is coming out, people are letting their dogs loose. Although I believe there are some leash laws around, Arthur, Kenny?
Oh, yeah. Virginia Beach has them. Nobody pays any attention to them, and they're not enforced, but they're there.
Right. Great Danes, Dobermans, German Shepherds, Rottweilers, and Pit Bulls, they're not exactly Chihuahuas, Shih Tzus, and Yorkies. Correct, Kenny?
Yeah, not by any means.
Very good, very good.
If a Chihuahua bites you, you just kind of look at it like, what are you doing? And shake it off. You know, one of those other animals bites you, you're going to the hospital.
And think about how you acted if that was your cousin or neighbor or kid being held by a King Kong. That, to me, I couldn't even imagine that. Thank goodness that kid is still alive. Changing the subject, you got to eat lunch sometimes, folks. The Premier Buffet in Hampton Roads is open. Tokyo Grill and Buffet indulge in this all-you-can-eat extravaganza, which includes Chinese, Japanese, hibachi, sushi, and American food, as well as fruit and dessert, too. Ideal for every occasion. Lunch is $6.39, dinner at $9.39, Sunday all day is $9.99. 49 West Mercury Boulevard in Hampton, and they have takeout as well. I want to thank our great guest today, Harry Minium from the Pilot, as well as Dinos Pierrakos talking about Laconico olive oil. He'll be at the Newport News Greek Festival Thursday through Sunday. Go by and see him. Buy some olive oil and vinegar from Dino. What a really, really nice guy. I want to thank everybody here on Sports Scene. For more, go to gjbtv.com. Hit the YouTube link as well for archive shows. For Ken Johnson, I'm Greg Bicouvaris. Happy Wednesday. We'll talk to you next week.
Dennis Prager is next, following the news on AM 1650 WHKT in Portsmouth. It's 1 p.m.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. The coming days are expected to bring more heavy rain to waterlogged southeast Texas.
On average, about 3 to 5 inches, but locally embedded within there could be some heavier totals exceeding 6 or 7 inches.
National Weather Service meteorologist Patrick Burke, the severe weather has claimed several lives. Also, there is a flood watch posted for southern Oklahoma. And record flooding in France, a result of days of torrential rain.
In Paris, City Hall closed roads along the shore of the Seine River in several places of the city, from the left bank to the Eiffel Tower neighborhood.
Correspondent Angela Charlton in Paris. Hoping to cut down on deaths from heart attack and stroke, the Obama administration is out with some new sodium guidelines.
The proposed voluntary guidelines are meant to persuade food companies and restaurants to take a more consistent approach to lowering salt content